Our heroes, Dan and Matt, they were talking at ends meet with Legend of Zelda. Today, we're going to continue our episode with Mass Effect. Mass Effect.
Hello, everyone, and welcome
Hi.
back. Thank you so much for coming back for episode 2. I hope you enjoyed episode 1. I am Dan, and this is once again
Matt.
nice to meet you, Matt. How you
Nice to
doing?
meet you, Dan.
How's your week been?
It's been okay. How about you?
Yeah, it's fine. Do anything fun?
No, not
That's
really.
great. Moving
Oh,
on.
yeah.
So, today our major topic, and I am super duper excited about this one because this is.
I peed a little. That's how excited I am.
Yeah, no, you've peed a lot. Like if the smell's getting to it. But Mass Effect, everyone. I know it's a little older of a game. Well, I shouldn't say anything.
I mean,
seemingly-
2007 was just around the corner.
we just did Zelda, which has been around since the dawning of time.
I mean, since I was about born, yeah.
Yeah. But we are going to go ahead and talk about Mass Effect, likes, dislikes, favorite characters, rosters, how to kill people, how to save people. what
And
we
who
loved
did you
and hated.
romance?
And the romances.
Valentine's Day is soon upon us.
There it is. And we'll make this the Valentine's Day special.
I would
even
hope
though
so with all the romance.
I'm
We'll
pretty
figure it out. If it's not, you know what? Just think of it as anniversary.
I'm pretty sure this is going to
pick
air
any.
in March. So maybe we're going to be a little past it, but
Oh, right. Yeah, my bad.
it's fine. All right. So, Matt, I'm going to start off with the very, very first question. Out of the 3 games, which one's your favorite?
I mean, let's just face it. 2 was just a disaster. Just terrible.
Just real.
Just the worst thing
bottom
they could have
gutter
ever
game
done.
there.
I mean, the ending, everything, the final boss. I mean, it's got to be my favorite then.
It's got to be. Yeah. I mean, without a doubt. I mean, Mass Effect 2 is just a hands down, almost perfect game, in my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, there's not really much to even say. I mean, I just picked up the Legendary Edition again just to replay them because I originally had Xbox, didn't have it anymore, so I had to switch.
Yep.
However, just playing through the first one again, like, it's still good. Just kind of, okay, cool little plots here and there. But then when you get to 2, the opening.
Oh, God.
Everything is just beautiful.
We can rebuild him.
Oh, man. Second one's great. How about you? What'd you pick? Favorite one?
So as much as I say 2 is a perfect game, and don't burn me at the stake for this, 3 with all of the included DLC. So you get
The DLC was pretty amazing.
when you get the nice wrap up of everyone at the what's his name, Anderson's apartment.
Oh, yeah,
And
the after
the
party.
Leviathan DLC where you see that giant creature at the bottom of the ocean.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that one.
And yes, the ending, and we will get to it.
Boo.
But like I would replay 3 over and over again, and I think I would play 2 once or twice.
See, I would play 2 way more than the other ones.
Oh, okay. So let's just go ahead and start a little bit with talking about 1.
Yes.
Do's, don'ts, cans, won'ts, wills, likes.
Really, so I just recently got through 1 again.
Okay.
Definitely enjoyed it. The main story is still good.
Sure.
Some great parts in there, but a little bare bone.
Yeah.
Like, especially with the decisions.
Yeah.
Things are just like, especially one comes to mind with Rex.
Okay.
Where I always chose to save him no matter what. I didn't even know there was all this extra stuff with killing him. We'll get to that later. But like, yeah, it was just like, oh, put a gun to your head. Or like, oh, hey, Ashley or whoever, Caden, hey, you want to...
And I have a really hard time with that decision because I like Rex. He's one of my favorite characters. If you keep him, he is such an amazing addition whenever you run into him. But I don't want that to hold me back on all of the fun things that'll happen without him.
Right.
Like, so every time I get to that moment, I'm like, ooh, but I really like Rex. So I predominantly usually will save him and just be like, it's worth all the fun, jabber that we'll have back and forth.
And the alternative, if you kill him, I think his brother Reeve or something like that shows up and takes his place in 2.
And then
2's Grunt, and then 3 Reeve shows up, and it's just not as good without Rex.
Yeah, I mean, the voice actor is phenomenal. Like the character itself, especially those characters that you meet in 1. If you can keep them all the way through 3 healthy and on your team, you have that longer connection with them. You have that like meaningful, like you want them on your roster. You know what they can do, and it just feels more of like a family member to a certain degree,
right?
Other than like when you get Vega in 3 and you're like, I don't know you. I'm not going to keep you on my team.
You
like,
mean Alpha Chad?
Yeah.
I love Alpha Chad.
I'm really happy that Freddie Prinze Jr. is getting work. I'm super excited about it. But they're like, go have a conversation with him. I'm like, or don't like. I get it. There's other people,
but
like
I love
to
Alpha Chad Vega. He's
Alpha
always doing
Chad.
them. He's always doing them workouts in front of you, making you feel inferior.
Yeah, it's like, you want to just go for a little boxing match? No, I don't. I want to go play space chess upstairs.
Plus his commentary on missions, if you put him in your squad, is pretty funny from time to time.
Okay, so if we're staying on one real quick, then
Yes.
Matt, the real question is, do we kill Caden or do we kill Ashley?
I know it's very popular to hate on Ashley, but I think she just has a better story arc overall. I usually keep Ashley alive. Caden's just kind of milquetoast, boring.
Yeah.
Every once in a while he has a good little quip, but like, I don't know. He feels like that safe friend and you're like, you can maybe go.
Yeah.
What about you?
I don't know. I go back and forth. I literally will flip a coin for either of them.
Oh, flip a coin. There we go.
Yeah, because it's at the one point I think I don't for Ashley's character, whenever you talk to her in the first part, she's in my opinion, very unlikable. She doesn't like other aliens. You know,
right. She's your uncle at Thanksgiving who has very big opinions.
Yeah. And so I was like, oh, well, then I'm definitely killing you. But then you go and talk to Caden and he doesn't even say anything interesting.
Yeah.
So I usually just flip a coin. Ashley, though, later in 3, she becomes, I think, the character that you want to keep because I think her dialogue and her story, like you said previously,
it feels like she grows up a lot.
Oh,
it's like she went through her angsty teenage years in 1, and then like 3, she's like, man, I was kind of a jerk.
Yeah, she's like, I'm so sorry about that. Yeah, we're cool.
Especially if you do a Paragon route in 1.
Oh yeah,
you can kind of talk her out of the specious stuff. You're like, hey,
it's like not cool, man.
We're gonna be here. I'm not getting rid of these guys.
All right, so if you're gonna save Ashley. And then do you kill?
Is this like kill, marry?
Yeah, except it's all kill. It's just kill, or kill,
kiss, or marry.
The story of Mass Effect: the kill, or have sex with.
Yes.
Like that's about the whole story of Mass Effect. And then we get to 2. What do you? And I know we've said this. 2 is beautiful.
Man, yeah, it is. There's really not much I would change in 2, just for the sheer fact that it was just
the intro.
I mean, really, just
oh my god.
Yeah, really, the only thing I would change in 2 or even have a problem with is like maybe Zaid's character, little kind of weak, just very 501st.
Yeah.
Star Warsy.
It's the DLC in 2 I think was phenomenal.
Oh yeah.
Except for but his mission was cool.
Oh yeah, no,
like
all their side missions are great.
Yeah, it's really
but Kasumi just had so much more going on.
Oh, and like not
such
only
a cooler character.
You got to go to the fun little where you got to dress up. You had to put on your form
that was great.
Little James Bond, little Jason Bourne stuff.
Yeah.
And then even when you go to like the hallway where it's like all of the rich artifacts, and it's like pieces of the Statue of Liberty, I always have to make sure that I'm like slow and not pick the one that like starts the story because I like going through and then seeing like the shadow broker demon looking guy.
I'm pretty sure I messed that up in my first part. I was trying to what you were doing and like I want to take it all in, and I was oops, accidentally clicky.
And then you're like, and there goes the entire cutscene. Great.
Yeah.
That
was a really cool
big
part.
fan of that. So my question then for you, Matt.
Yes.
You have all 3 games in front of you, right?
Correct. You blindfold me.
I do. So you get all 3 games. You get all of the lineup, which we will talk about should have been in 3, but we'll save that for a little bit later. Who's your dream team?
Oh, dream team.
Dream team.
Ooh, that is a tough one. I know you're not a big fan, but I love Tally.
Oh God,
Tally, love
the
her.
Quarians are just
Tally's
the worst. I don't get people's love with the Quarians.
They're misunderstood. They're just
they're not. They're over.
They're like hoarders from outer space who made a colony, and like they're also kind of like a very Hank Pym. Is that correct? Who made Ultron?
Sure.
And kind of like lost control.
Yeah.
Feels very much like that. And I feel for that. I'm like, oh, you tried to do something cool and then it backfired.
But they're just the worst. They're constantly the worst.
Actually, I think probably Solarians are the worst because they always constantly they go too far.
Don't bring in this. Solarians do what they need to do, okay? And they have confidence about it. And
with the Genophage, they
went
really too far.
Hey, when the Genophage started, everyone was in agreement with it, okay? Yes, the Solarians made it, sure. They're the scientists behind the microscope. But it's not like they just surprised. I'm sure there was a council that said, okay, go ahead and release it.
We will release this thing which will devastate them forever.
Hold the disease.
Hold the disease. Oh, no, hold the cure.
Very. I release it at the end. I'm a good person.
Well, as most people do, I would hope.
Okay, so you're putting Tally in your Dreamstar lineup.
Tally, yep. Are we just doing the normal squad of...
We'll give you 3.
Oh, 3, okay. Oh, geez. So I got to say... Ooh, so yeah, Tally. I would probably say Rex, just because I love the Krogan.
Okay.
And Grunt's just he's kind of like
Grunt's
Caden.
fine.
He's
like
okay.
Grunt.
He's like Caden. You're okay. You're there.
Oh, he's much better than Caden.
Oh,
but
absolutely.
I digress.
But he's just, when it comes to the other Krogan, like,
yeah. Now,
you don't do as much.
Before you reveal the last one, you pick your people based on their skills, or do you based on who you like?
Usually I do it on who I like.
Okay.
The first time I played the game, yes, I would base it specifically on skills, but later on I'm like, I don't need skills.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's all just guns. It's just favoritism. It's like I can basically kill everyone.
Well, especially with the difficulty in the first game, like that was a cakewalk. Even on Insane, you're like, whatever. Mm-hmm. But yeah, 2 and 3, they really made you use cover and like think about things.
And if you're doing the legacy where you start and you're playing all 3, if you have the continued character, when you start 2, you already have so much extra instead of starting 2. So like when I play 2, I usually, and I'm not going to like flex or anything, but like I can walk through on hard mode now. Like it's not that hard of a game.
Which is saying a lot because usually you're not that good.
I am terrible at video games, but like, man, Mass Effect just feels right. So
essentially you got good.
I did. But we're waiting on your third one.
Oh, third. Usually when I do Tally,
we got Tally.
I love to do. So I usually switch between
you're one
2.
of these people.
I love to. I
know where this is going.
I love to put Legion in there because
you are just a little Esther,
just a little pot stir there, because it's always you're like, ooh, are they going to say anything mean?
The dialogue just back and forth. No, Tally says something mean. Legion just goes like, ha
Legion,
ha ha. So funny.
Legion's just like a child. Like I don't know what's that butterfly. Like
really, I thought.
But no, actually, what I usually choose though is I really, as much as I don't like Zaid, I do like taking him.
Really?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Just because sometimes his dialogue and banter is fun, and like overall, he's just, I don't know. There's something about having like a regular like 80s action star commando next to me too.
Sure. Whenever I play, if I have everyone in front of me, I usually contextually based on the mission, like if it's a Korean based mission, I love bringing Legion.
Oh yeah.
You know, like I usually like to bring the one person that you shouldn't bring just because the dialogue just makes it that much more exciting.
It is once again the pot stirry.
Yeah.
So Dan, what's your dream team then?
My dream team is Jack as my biotic.
Yeah,
Jack is my she can have all my money and all my blood. She is my favorite.
Well, I mean, she'll probably take it.
My
so
favorite
worry.
ones and zeros ever put together. So I have Jack as my biotic.
Jack is amazing.
I usually will dance between Thane and Legion as my sniper because I do try and keep it like biotic sniper, and then like muscle.
You like to have the balance.
Yeah. And then I'll usually dance around with maybe Grunt, or maybe that third position's just whoever I feel like slightly close to at the time. And
I will say I do that a lot too, just depending on who I feel. Sometimes I will substitute Jack in for Tally, or sometimes I'll bring in like I like bringing in Chad Alpha Vega too sometimes, just because he's such a weird character.
Yeah, he
feels
my
like
favorite.
He feels like an extra from Starship Trooper that they left in the back. I'm like, hey, you want to kill some bugs? And he's like, yeah.
It's like they had models left over from like the StarCraft game, and they're like, we're gonna port your model in.
About damn time.
But I will say there are people, and as much as that's a dream team of mine, like I don't think I've ever brought Morden on a mission in 2.
Really?
Yeah,
he's fun. I've done every once in a while. I will,
but I just don't ever assume that he is combat ready. Like I just don't see him be like, that's the guy I want with a gun behind my back.
It's actually funny you mentioned that because I was looking up like the stats in 2 to see who lives and dies and how they calculate it.
Yeah,
it's actually very interesting. They do it like based on a point system on combat readiness. Mm-hmm. So like the lowest one, funny enough, Morden.
Yeah.
Like go figure. So if you put him in any situation, he's pretty much gonna die.
Yeah, he's so useful, and he's on the ship, and he can sing and he can dance. He's like the perfect shipmate. Yeah. But like in the field, I will never ever choose him.
He's like watching your child go to kindergarten for the first time. You're like, here's your backpack. I'm gonna watch you till you get to the curb.
Yeah.
I won't disappoint you.
And then it gets to the point where I know these are all fictional characters who don't know me as a human being or that people exist. But like, if I don't choose Garrus, I feel like he gets mad at me.
I think that's fair.
Like, because Garrus is like supposed to be your best friend and all this other stuff. And it's been like 2 missions and I haven't chosen him. I'm like, I'm sorry, Garrus. I have to take him. He's got to stretch his legs.
Well, and actually, to be fair, in the first game, they do mention him as a hothead several times. So.
Oh, yeah. Especially after 2, where he turns into the Archangel, gets sniper training.
So much cooler in 2.
The second he loses half his face, he becomes so much cooler.
Oh, man. Because in the first one, not gonna lie, like I don't remember this, but playing through it again, I was like, Garrus just wasn't as cool.
Oh yeah.
And then when you get to the second game, you're like, whoa, you went through a crazy transformation.
In one, he's just like a C-sect officer, right?
Yeah,
he's just like, I don't like
ex-officer.
What's going on here. And you're like, okay, sure, like jump on the ship.
And every once in a while he'll have something cool to say, but like,
yeah, he's fine.
Yeah.
So who's your least favorite?
Least favorite's got to be Jacob. Just for the soul. Just because he's got the boring aspects of Caden. Like, you're okay, you're there. But then when it comes to the third game and you have to go to that point where they're like, hey, I need everybody to come with me and stop the final fight. What's he do? Ooh, I got to take my kid to Taekwondo or something. Or, ooh, no, I don't got time. You're like, wait, your kid's not even born yet. And he's not going to be born unless we stop these guys. He's like, ooh, I don't know.
It's like, man, I just drank a lot of Dimetap. I got a little bit of a sniffle. Like, I don't think I can make it out tonight, right?
It's such a cop-out answer.
Which is so weird for like the mission or the loyalty mission they give him, which is so
amazing.
I mean, when I played that mission, because it's early on in 2, then you're like, oh, this game's going to get kind of like
dark,
a little dark, like, oh. And then you get to decide what to do with the dad.
Well, his dad's mission felt like like a really cool Star Trek episode almost.
Oh, without a doubt. Yeah, it has that feel to it.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, it's so good. And then like you get to 3 and he's just like, meh, I don't feel like it.
Yeah, he's like, oh, well, I mean, they tried to rationalize it with him having a wife and kid.
But that's not a good rationale when everything's gonna die.
Yeah, and that's the one thing, and we'll get to it eventually, but like in 3 where it's like, I got mad because I didn't have my full cast. And if this is the end of the world mission, which depending on which ending you choose, is the end of the world mission. Like
the end.
Everyone should not have anything more important to do than help me out.
And that's exactly what
everyone should be like, I'm behind you, because if you fail, nothing else matters whatsoever.
Right. And like I said before, when we were talking earlier, behind the scenes, tune in next week. No, I'm just kidding.
No, but please tune in next week.
But yeah, no, seriously. But like some other characters actually have good reasons not being there. Like some are like, oh, we're here. We're just, on the sidelines or doing other things.
Sure.
But yeah, like Jacob, just not a good reason at all.
And we mentioned Jack. Like, I don't think she can be on your team, but she's present on the planet providing military. I mean, if she's still alive at this point. Because
and you get to choose whether she's going to be a support line or front line.
And I guess we should say that this is under the assumption that you play the game either pure Paragon or pure Renegade, to where you have as much as your team as possible.
I mean, obviously full spoilers.
Yeah, full spoilers. I mean, this game's old. Like
2007 wasn't that old.
Yes, it is. So other than that, is there any teammates that you actively try and like kill off now? Or like when you're playing the game, do you ever not do loyalty missions just to spice up the whole thing?
So the first time through, I'm a completionist, so no, but like the second and third time through, oh, absolutely. I'm actually even trying to do like how I can kill the most people, because I know people have done it and it just looks so much fun.
Well, and so if you go and try and do a most kill playthrough, you can still do the DLC at the end of 3 where you have that party at your house for everyone who's still alive. And it's like 4 people. And it's like Vega, who you can't kill. I think Joker, who you can't kill.
So Joker definitely. So I just looked it up.
Edie maybe's there. I'm trying to think. I saw this thing online about it.
Yeah, Joker's definitely there. Really. And funny enough, if you kill everybody in 2, you can't load that data into 3.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
you have to have one person survive to make Shepard get on the boat. Oh yeah, so Shepard dies if you kill everybody in 2. Spoiler.
Yeah.
If you kill every single member. Remember at the very end he jumps into the ship as a thing, very heroic action hero,
very diehard. Yep.
Joker goes to grab him because nobody else is there to grab him.
Yeah.
Slips and falls and they don't find him.
That's amazing.
Yep. And you can't load that data into 3.
And it's
so
done.
You have to have one person survive. You get to choose whoever to lift him back up.
One of my favorite laugh out loud moments of the entire series, though, is that usually if I'm going into the boss battle at 2, I'll take Grunt. I don't know why, but he just feels like somebody who should be there. He's a tank. And so, it's a giant, robot thing. You got to shoot his eyeballs and shoot the glowy hand stuff. And so, you're doing great. You kill him. And then all of a sudden, I don't remember if this actually happens, but you're on these platforms, right? And the platforms start falling and you're like slip sliding here and there. And I don't know if this happens every time for everyone, but like one time a platform, takes a 90-degree turn and like Grunt just starts sliding down it, right? And here I am, Shepard. I run and I just catch this like 1-ton Krogan with a one-handed catch, and it doesn't rip my arm off. And then I lift him back up into the platform. I was like, I feel like maybe I should be armless.
That would
and
be a really cool
Kroganless at this
twist.
point.
That would be a great twist. You
Like,
just go, oh,
And
no.
he just takes you down with you, be like, oh,
And just get the game
Shepard,
over, yeah.
I'm sorry.
Oh, no.
He's flying down.
My bad.
Now, do you save the Reaper? Do you destroy the Reaper?
Most of the time I like destroying it.
Really?
I don't like them. I don't like the Reapers. I'm like, oh, you guys are mean. So I just blow them up.
Yeah. That elusive man, he's got some good sense, though.
Yeah, and apparently he's way bigger in the books, which I haven't read.
Yeah, neither have I. I guess we should have started out by saying this is all video game based.
Oh, absolutely. Maybe we'll get into books in the future. Probably
Sure,
not.
Probably not. Right after I read all those Witcher books and the Wheel of Time books,
Ooh.
and
Hey, I just started Wheel of Time.
once those are done, then we'll
Right.
dance into it.
Though I will say I did do a little research on that, and apparently like Kai Lang
Okay.
and Elusive Man, they are way bigger in the book. So
Oh,
hey,
yeah.
you should probably read them if you are interested in the lore. Because
I have a little bit
definitely
that I want
expands.
to talk about Kai Lang, but I'm going to save
Ooh.
that for what we would change lore wise at the end of 3 and how we
Ooh.
would kind of not fix the ending, but like make it a little bit more where it feels like what we did mattered instead of like no matter what you just get 3
instead of
endings.
what we got in the apology that you tried to fix.
I will say though, the one thing I would love to cut from the whole thing.
Yeah.
Oh, so let's talk about this real quick. Favorite side missions and least favorite side/loyalty missions.
Oh.
Do you remember any of them? 'Cause
Oh,
I know
I
you
do.
just did one, so
Yeah. You know, funny enough, I don't like Miranda's side loyalty mission that much.
okay.
It was just a little kind of boring. It was what, her sister, and you had to like go save her
It's-
sister from her daddy.
It's very character
Yeah.
development for her.
Yeah, which is fine. And like the story aspect was fine, but like the actual mission itself playing through it.
I mean, it was fine. I mean,
Yeah.
the one thing I've always liked about the Mass Effect games is like it's fairly what's the term? Railroad. It's very
Yeah.
like I mean, kill everyone in the corridor,
Right.
find the only door that opens, go to the next corridor, kill everyone in the corridor, find the only door that opens. You know,
Right.
But her side mission, I think, with her character, like I think her character is very rich because
Yes.
if you look at and you read all the dossiers about her and like how important her family, like she is a very fleshed out character. But if you don't and you just kind of leave her on your team and don't research, she seems very vanilla.
Well, and very full of herself. But then when
Yeah.
you read those things, you're like, oh, I get it. You're made to be
especially-
the perfect. Yeah.
And especially if you go to romance her,
Right.
then you have like a whole separate thing where she has a little bit of a moment with you about, you know, her family and how important her
Yeah.
sister is and all that other stuff. And
But yeah, just that.
how
that
vulnerable she actually is as a character.
and yeah, the development part was great, but like, I don't know, just felt very, here's a couple hallways and oh, there's some mercs.
Yeah. It's funny. My favorite and least favorite loyalty missions are the same mission
Oh.
because I know I'm going to blow your mind here. Legion's loyalty mission in 2, is it 3?
I actually don't remember his mission.
So
that
I think
much.
it may be 3. Oh God, don't burn me alive here. I think
Burn me
it may
alive in the
be- I think
comments.
it may be 3. I want to say 3, maybe 2. It's been a minute since I played all 3 of them, but it's the one where you find out how the Quarians built and created
Oh, I remember
the
now.
Geth,
Yep.
right? And so it's an amazing exposition
Yep.
dump. It's so cool. You see these like clips. The problem is it's wrapped around this stupid VR where you just have to shoot blocks with a VR gun, and it's not even really a puzzle. It's just you go to this plank, you see some orange stuff, you shoot at it, and you have to like clear your path to the next memory node. And I just remember going like, man, I want to learn what happens next, but I am miserable getting from A to B.
First of all, VR is the future.
Okay, yeah. Well, it's
No, but
it's in the future.
No,
so-
you definitely jarred my memory on that one. Yeah, I agree. That one was a little silly with the amount they made you go through with the shooting of the blocks.
yeah.
but
And it's just like
the
and-
story was magnificent.
And it just keeps going. It's not like there's one room. There's like 4 or 5 different, and then it gets kind of complicated because
yeah,
you shoot one and then you're just running around in a circle and
yeah.
that's my favorite information wise, least favorite playable wise.
As far as least favorite plot wise, and most I'm going to swap you. Most favorite playable wise.
Okay.
Thane.
Really?
Like the plot, okay, we get it. You get the bad guy, but like playing it, it was like Metal Gear.
Okay.
Sneaking around, killing people. Like
And Thanes?
yeah,
Are you
the
sneaking
assassin.
around? That's
Well, you're not really sneaking around,
Yeah,
but you know what I mean.
You're
It's
just on the jungle planet and
well, no,
that-
Thanes is in your the a building.
oh,
The
I'm
se- this-
thinking
you're thinking-
Zeed. Oh, I'm
you're thinking
yeah.
Zaid's,
No,
yeah.
Thanes is fun.
Yeah, Thanes is just fun. It feels like Metal Gear, like going through a building,
But
you have to
that's-
stop the bad guys.
Are you talking his get him mission or his loyalty mission? His
thought that was
loyalty
his
mission is
loyalty.
his son.
Oh crap! That's where you're in the underground. I got it mixed up.
Literally, where you're sneaking up in the rafters, following.
That actually, you know what? That one is still fun
because his son's going to assassinate somebody.
And honestly, that still has a Metal Gear vibe. So,
that one made sense. Yeah.
Actually, still not wrong.
Still not wrong. Haha, jerk.
Actually, no, that one was really good though.
I enjoyed that one.
Pretty much anything with Thane is just fun.
Oh yeah.
And just great story wise.
Whenever I think about 2 and I think about how much I loved playing it, one of the first memories that will always show up is going to be that mission where you get Thane, where you finally get to
the one
CEO,
I was talking about, the CEO. Yeah.
And then, you learn how he does his memory thing. And he's like,
so cool.
Quiet as the sun sets, beaming on my skin. And you're like, what is happening in this game?
He's flipping out.
He's freaking out, man.
Oh, but yeah, his sun mission was still really cool though.
The coolest.
Oh yeah. And just the outcome if you don't do like his loyalty mission and like I think a major character dies later on because of it and some other stuff. Like there's some real consequences for not doing some of those loyalties.
He's definitely one of the long-term decision changers. That
I also love the fact he'll die if you don't visit him in the hospital.
Shut up, really? He dies if you don't visit him in the hospital?
I didn't send you flowers, please.
When is he in the hospital?
He gets blown up later. Or something like that.
Afterwards, yeah.
Well, I think that's in 3.
Again, spoilers, but because he saves the someone on the council.
Right.
Yeah,
and if he dies, they get saved.
And I'm gonna say his name with all the disdain that I can.
Yeah.
Uldina. Oh,
I think.
What a hateful guy that is.
Yeah.
Not a big fan of that character.
Yeah, he's especially when you find out he betrays everybody. You're like, dude.
Yeah. But the second he opens his mouth, you're like, this guy's pretty much a jerk.
And you want to hear something funny about it?
I would love to hear something.
Counselor Udina or whatever. Like, the very first time I played through, I'm like, clearly he's probably a secret good guy. I'm going to put him on the council. And then like,
you did?
Yeah.
Oh.
And I was doing a Paragon run. I'm like,
sure.
I'll give. Well, Anderson didn't seem like he really wanted it. I mean, he's like, you're going to retire, play
give
golf.
Give it to him, He didn't want it, so he has to be on.
But then later on, I found I'm like, man, I really misplayed.
But it doesn't really matter though, because at the end, once you start 2, he's like, yeah, I basically did it for a little bit.
So the only difference between putting one or the other on the council is how fast you get your Spectre reinstated.
That's it.
That's the only thing that it really affects.
Yeah.
And yeah, it makes the plot a little different, but not much.
Sure. Okay, so then we have now let's Matt, favorite romance.
Oh, who's the waifu of the month?
Who's the boy or girl that makes you blush?
Well, there's a Mr. Chad Bay. Oh, who? No, I'm just kidding.
Actually, unromanceable.
I think he is unromanceable.
But I do believe I read that in the end, if you drink too much at the party, he is somebody that you can accidentally wake up next to.
No way. Really?
Yeah, and then you look at each other and go like, we're never going to talk about this.
You don't high five?
You don't high five.
Man.
Nope. Same with...
out of character for
What's the Prothean's name?
It's like Javek.
Javik. He can be somebody that is unromanceable that if you drink too much at the party, you can wake up next to.
Do Protheans even? I didn't want to go there.
I mean, you drink too much and you wake up next to it. That's all we need to know.
I know mine's probably tied.
You're going to say the person that I can't stand.
I know. I mean, Tally is just waifu.
Tally?
She's best waifu.
I just can't get behind it. Like, I'm not trying to say anything, but
if we go top 3, I would say Tally, Jack.
Tally number 1.
Tally number 1. Tally me banana. And then Jack's just great.
Jack's great.
Jack's just great.
I mean, we could have an episode just about how great.
What a great character
she is from start to finish. Like the growth that happens.
No kidding.
The path that she takes and the missions.
She becomes a youth minister.
Oh yeah, she does. She kind of does.
For little psychos.
There's actually an extra deleted scene. If you 100% everything, she's a actual youth rapper now. She has a music video.
No kidding.
About the way of the biotic. It's called Bubba Biotic. It's pretty great.
Ugh.
Womp womp. Okay, anyway, so 1 is Tally, 2 is Jack.
Oh man, if I had to say 3, I like Ashley.
Ashley.
I like it.
Really?
I like it. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, it does have the 3-game arc, so.
It does. Not to mention, especially with the 3rd arc in that, like, the way her character goes, perfect.
Who's your no never?
No never?
Who's your no never?
Oof. Honestly, Liara.
Oh, that's crazy. She's my no never too.
Really?
Yeah, because it just feels so forced in the game.
Right.
Like she always like
nothing against her. She's like a nerdy little scientist.
I dig her character.
Yeah.
And like we have some really good dialogue, but then she was Commander, and then she looks at you in the eyes and it just zooms in. And she's like, would you like to hang out later? I'm like, okay, no, first of all.
And I get it. And I'm like, am I a Captain Kirk? Don't want to bang every Ellen?
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe
But
just
then-
one, but on it.
And maybe it's because I'm petty and kind of bitter. But I remember playing one of my playthroughs. I romanced her in the first game just to see what would happen, right? Played 2. And so then, if you remember, she's almost not into at all because she's off doing or she's off.
Oh, yeah. She's mainly in the DLC, and that's really
the
about,
Shadow Broker DLC. And so you do run into her, though. And, she's on the planet and you run up to her office and you're like, hey, you remember me? Like, we had a thing. I died. I'm back. And you're like, so let's see what, and she's like, ooh, I don't have time for you. And literally, and you go to hug her and she's like, ooh, take a step back. And like the second that happened, I remember putting my controller down, staring at the screen going, oh, is that how we're playing it then? It's like dead to me.
And you became scorned
and then
instantly.
I was just scorned and I was like dead to me.
I am upset.
And then later on in the beginning of maybe 3 or something, she's like, oh, should we get back on that train? I'm like, oh no, I have things to do.
I wish there was a choice option for the dialogue wheel.
Just like it's Paragon, Renegade, and just sarcasm, just asshole. Like just some real mean stuff.
So who's your top 3 then? I already know who your one's going to be.
Oh, it's Jack.
I was going to say
Jack and Jack. Oh,
she's definitely great.
Without a doubt.
But what about 2 and 3?
For the longest time, 1 was Miranda.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yep, I love the accent.
Very sassy.
The second, and she I got to think for like powerful women who know they're in charge, and she's better than you in every single way.
Yeah.
And then if you do your research and read her dossiers, like I mentioned before, like how much actual deep story she has to her, she's great. So,
especially in the beginning, she's very like, I am better than you. Don't talk to me, Shepard.
Yeah, she's very much IRS about everything. Yeah. Mission Fest. That's my British accent. Thank you. The Oscar goes to me. But then, so she's my 2, Jack's my 1, and 3.
Yeah, third one's usually.
I don't know. I can't lie.
It can be a guy.
I usually don't dance back and forth. I usually don't. I just go between those 2 because, and not to be insensitive to people who like Tally, but when I first met her in the game and her voice, to me, she's like a 13-year-old girl.
No.
Like it's how I just read it. Everyone's different. I'm not trying to, project. And so like when people are like, oh, I romanced her, I'm like, oh, like.
But you're also forgetting the fact that like if your toaster ever breaks down, she can fix it.
Yes, that's great. That's great.
She's really good at repairs.
But if I had to choose, I'm trying to think of all the options.
Well,
I never really did actually.
There's also Garrus.
Garrus is fine.
Like I feel like Garrus would be the safe friend that you have a relationship with.
Garrus is someone you just want to hold hands with on the beach. You know what I mean? You just sit there and you just want to.
We're gazing at the ocean, aren't we, Shepard?
Yeah, Garrus is probably the best stargazing friend that you have. But a third, I don't know.
Yeah,
I really have to because it would have to be somebody I haven't really.
Now remember, you can also romance to a degree the reporter as well. Well, that's more just kind of a one-night stand.
Here's my number 3, Kelly.
I was going to say there's also Kelly.
The second she showed up in 2, and I was like, oh, hey.
And she does a little bit more in 3, too. Yeah. You just got to play around with the plot.
You can't be too forward right off the bat, but you're like, well, maybe you come to my place later.
She's always an option.
And then, in Yawen in 3, I forget her name, but she's like Kelly's replacement.
Oh, yeah.
But then you find out that I believe you find out she's a lesbian. So if you're a male shepherd.
But if you're femme shep, yeah.
She's the one with the digital toothbrush.
Oh, that's right.
That if you play the DLC, it saves the entire universe.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
I think I do.
So, you remember you have to break back into the Normandy after the fake shepherd has taken over. They've cloned you. They have your DNA.
Right.
And they're in the Normandy. They're about to take off, and you're in the dock, and you're like, oh my gosh, how are we going to get in here? And then you're like, oh my God, in order to get in here, we need a subsonic something.
Oh, that's right.
And then she had mentioned previously she wanted a $25,000 credit toothbrush because it has hyper or Mass Effect field.
It's the best toothbrush on the Citadel.
Best toothbrush in the Citadel. All right. Wow. Well, it looks like we are going to go ahead and take a break.
Jake, have you ever been looking for a definitive Nintendo ranking and can't seem to find it because it's just everybody's own opinion?
Honestly, all the time, Sam.
Well, I'm looking for someone to give us the answers.
Wait, You mean like a podcast made by two young, handsome men where they create a definitive top 5 list of all things Nintendo?
Should we just do it ourselves?
Yeah, that sounds fantastic.
Let's give it a shot. I'm Sam.
And I'm Jake.
And at Top 5 Nintendo, I'm going to give you my top 5 list.
And I'm going to give you my top 5 list.
And then we're going to duke it out and see what the real top 5 is.
Elcor audiobooks, now available on all forms of media, even your Zunes. Elcor Audio. Hear all your favorites from such things as Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stones.
Hi, I'm Ryan.
And I'm Mike.
And we are brothers-in-law. We both love beer and are amateur home brewers.
Wait, so does that make us brothers-in-law?
I believe so.
Every episode, we will talk about aspects of beer and home brewing.
But nothing super technical because we're learning this too.
So join us as we sit down together and dive into something beer-related.
Whether it's a little field research, tasting a certain beer style, or beers from a specific brewery,
talk about our experiences brewing beer at home, including our own solo brews, as well as themed competitions we'll set up along the way.
We will also talk about some of our favorite aspects of brewing, like hops, extra ingredients, building our brew cave, and more. And of course, our own misadventures that have happened along the way.
So, if you like beer, are home brewing already,
or if you have an interest in home brewing and don't know where to start,
join us on Brothers-in-Law Podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, YouTube, or wherever you listen to podcasts.
And make sure to follow us on Twitter at Brothers-in-Law and check out our website, brothersinlaw.com.
Cheers.
Cheers.
And we are back, everyone.
Welcome back.
That was beautiful, man. That was
Thank
really
you.
beautiful. So we really wanted to spend the second half of this show dedicated to the fiction part, F-I-X-C-T-I-O-N, because really the one thing that we have to talk about.
I don't want to do it.
Yeah, the one that the Elcor in the room is the ending.
No.
Okay, I would give this whole like series a 10 out of 10.
If it weren't for that
But if it
ending.
weren't for just a big old swing and a miss.
It's really just that last like couple hours of missions in the last half of it. Like
I don't even hate the missions. I think it's literally the last 20 minutes, which is a long 20 minutes because it's a lot of dialogue.
And just, I mean, we'll start with just the beginning of the quest. Like we said before, you don't even get your full roster back, or at least in a good excuse for them. Like most of them, like I think Miranda's is kind of evasive and like daddy issues or something. And she's like,
daddy issues.
And then Jacob's like other daddy issues.
Yep. I'm the daddy issue.
I'm
that's
the daddy
happening.
issue.
Yeah. I want to, if you don't mind, the one thing I want to start about is how I think this game in 3 tried a little too hard to be psychologically deep.
Yeah.
And I bring that up with the kid. Do you remember the little like cut scenes where in the very beginning of the game, you see the kid jump in, or like you almost save him and then he runs away.
Right.
And then you see him get on a ship that escapes and you're like, oh, thank God. And then the ship blows up.
And
right?
before anybody says anything, I know there's that fan theory out there like, oh, that's just proof Shepard was indoctrinated.
Oh,
but actually
no.
the creators came out and said, we wish we were that smart, which
Yeah,
is kind of
no.
a funny way to do it. But it's more just PTSD and dealing with death.
I think that's exactly how I took it.
That's how I took
like,
it.
And it's interesting. I wish we would have done PTSD a little bit more sprinkled through because to have it all drop on 3 and like those missions where you're just not even missions, like the cutscenes where you're running through the wispy woods, chasing that kid.
Like regret you can't save everybody.
And then every single time you find him and you're picking him up and he's burning. And maybe there's some deeper symbolism that you guys that are listening are like, oh my God, you guys didn't get it.
I mean, obviously kind of survivor's guilt stuff, but like, honestly, that's probably the only thing I'd change in 2 is just adding more little things like that. Cause you did come back from death.
Yeah.
Maybe a little more, mental trauma in that one, but.
And I think it's so crazy because in 2, there's a DLC that you like basically destroy a Batarian homeworld.
Oh yeah.
Like you have I think there's you blow up a Mass Effect relay and then
their whole species is stuck.
Yeah.
They can't get to the rest of the universe.
No, you destroy, I think you can choose either you take out a mining facility or I'm unsure, but like long story short is you kill a ton of Batarians.
Right.
It was like
It's pretty devastating.
it's one of those had to happens. You know, you're not malicious about it, and you do feel bad. But
I
like,
mean, you could be malicious if you're renegade.
I just think it's ridiculous that you have all of this massive death thing under your belt, and you see one human then die, and you're like, well, that's it. That's the trigger. Like that's
I got it. Yeah. I mean, let's face it, Shepard's gone through a lot of traumatizing things throughout both the games before this. And you're like, okay, I mean, the dude saw a giant Terminator robot Reaper humanoid thing.
Yeah.
That alone should drive you insane.
Well, and that's why I think like I usually play pretty full Paragon. I'm a nice person. I don't like playing characters that I don't like. And sometimes if I do too many Renegade things, I'm like, I don't like who I am right now.
Renegade's fun.
It is. But I think the Renegade version of Shepard would be more realistic to what that person would be like at the end of this whole thing.
Probably.
Like all the incessant infighting between all the races.
Right.
And all this other stuff. You would just be like, shut up. Everyone shut up. We're going to save the universe. I don't give a crap. Get on the ship. Give me your guns. We'll talk about this later.
I wish there was a dialogue wheel for that where you just pull out a PowerPoint presentation. Big scary thing, space.
Yeah.
Coming.
I just saw it like, and I haven't seen every single clip, you know, because I mean, this game is so expansive. To get every single team member's optional dialogue in every mission would take you for forever. But I did see one where if you're full Renegade, it's Tally's mission where she's under arrest from the Quarian fleet. Yeah. Because her dad did some shenanigans.
Well, he's an admiral.
Yeah. And so
you marry into royalty,
they're
essentially, if you make her a waifu, just saying.
Quit saying waifu. Quit. And so like you go and you're her lawyer. Because you're her captain now.
Oh yeah, I love that part.
And so like I always have Paragon high enough where I just like I'm like, she's amazing, everything's great about her. You know, you guys are wrong about
Phoenix
her.
Writer. Objection.
Objection. And then but I finally saw what happens if you're full Renegade. And you basically tell everyone to F off. You tell her to get on the ship, that this whole thing's a kangaroo court. You refuse to take part of it. You're a traitor. You're a liar. Shepard drops the mic and walks out. And they're like, beautiful. And they're like, yeah, that's fine. And I'm just like, man, maybe I do need to play more Renegade.
Seriously,
some of these dialogues are just so fun.
Some of those Renegade options are just gold.
Oh yeah. Oh, anyways, back to it.
But yeah, back to hating on that. No,
the kid, I think needs to either be reworked, retouched, or just cut
just
all
in
together.
General. Yeah, just do more with the weird surrealism.
Yeah, I just think it's hard to drop something like that in 3 without having at least a peppering of it in 1 and 2.
Same with Kai Lang, like we were saying, like with, I know you have more on him, but like you just bring him in kind of last minute and he doesn't really do anything besides just kind of, you know, I mean, gotcha.
He's just a ninja. He's just a space ninja.
Because you miss so much without reading the books. And it's like, I wish you guys would have, like you said, peppered him in maybe in 2 or 1 a little bit, especially in 1. There's so much bare bones nothingness in 1. You could have filtered that in.
So I think I can fix Kai Lang. I mean, I don't think we should cut him, but he has a mask predominantly his entire time. You never, I don't believe, see his face. So I think you could have easily, and again, I know this is probably going against the books, which is fine because I didn't read them, but I think if you're going to introduce Kai Lang as this mystery ninja who's running amok and destroying everything that you love, there should be a point where you do a reveal, right? You pull the face off. Who are you? Who are you? And it should be the person that you let die in 1.
Absolutely.
It should be Caden or Ashley.
Because that would have been a way bigger impact. And like, you know, give him more of a facial covering and then the big reveal.
That would be
at least we have a big, because you're with Caden and Ashley on the first mission and pretty much throughout the game. Yeah. Way bigger impact than just dropping some random guy on you.
I believe whoever that you lose, like, is mentioned numerous times throughout the series. Like,
especially by the other player. Like, so it'd be even cooler if you had to take the other person on that mission too when you first get the reveal. Yeah. You could get so much more out of it.
And it'd be an amazing tie back to 1. It introduces that, you know, Cerberus, you weren't the first person that we used the Lazarus Project on. Right. Do you think we were going to prototype it on you? No, we found this person, like somehow
you could build a lot.
Somehow we got the body out before the bomb went off. I mean, it's a video game. You could easily just write that in without having to show.
They kind of do it to your best gal too.
My best gal.
Yeah, if you never get Jack or anything on your team, or she ends up dying, she'll come back as a baddie.
If you don't go to the Grissom Academy, and you just surpass that entire mission, Cerberus takes over Grissom, and then you have to
fight Jack as kind of like a rando.
I think it's like Soldier X,
something like that.
Same with Legion, I believe.
Which is awesome. If you hand him over to the Elusive Man.
He's like one of the Geth at the
And
end.
you're right. I wish they would have done that with like the corpse of the previous one you left.
Oh, yeah.
Then they'd have even more motivation to hate Shepard.
Yeah. And I think it would just be another amazingly personal way to tie in the series, because what we're really getting to is a lot of people felt that all of your decisions didn't really matter.
Yeah, they didn't carry nearly as much weight as they did in 2.
And, you know, I hear that. I hear that complaint, but seeming you can replay this series so many times and have so many different things. Like if you start out at point A, it's going to spider web into 1,000 different things, but it is going to come back to a point. Like there does need to be an ending to a certain degree.
Right.
I just don't like the 3 endings.
Yeah, I was going to say, but the endings are all kind of the same.
You know what?
Kind of the same.
And and a lot of people hate him. I understood why it came that way, where it all ends with a decision. I just wish that each one was fleshed out more.
Right.
In the after credits. So let's just talk about them real quick. So there is all.
Obviously, there's a destroy.
Destroy all.
You have the synthesize with the humans.
Synthesize the
robots
humans.
and humans together as one.
Yep, that's the green one, right? There's blue, red, and green.
Blue.
Green is a merger. And then one is you control all the Reapers,
Yeah,
right?
one's control.
So it's control,
destroy,
or
merge.
synthesize.
Yeah.
Which one did you choose, Matt? Tell me.
Oh, I love doing destroy, like I said.
Destroy.
I don't like the Reapers.
Destroy. So it's all mechanical life, right?
Yeah.
Basically, the world's
shuts down the mass relay, shuts down
biggest
everything.
EMP the universe has ever seen. So
Right.
every Quarian's dead now, right?
Probably.
I mean, I assume all electricity's out.
Right.
So if their suits are reliant on anything mechanical to filter the air that they breathe,
well, as long as they're
all Quarians are gone.
As long as they're on their flotilla, they're fine. It's for
the flotilla's done. The flotilla
it's just floating out in space now.
Yeah, but
however, here's the thing: like the suit's just made to keep external things out from different.
But it's a filtration system that,
Right,
without a
because
doubt,
their immune
needs
systems,
electricity
yeah.
to use. Right? I mean, it's not like they just have a bunch of cotton in a toilet paper
Right.
tube that they breathe through.
Which makes my story romance ending even that more
So
impactful.
okay. So if you choose destroy all, so
Yeah.
all Quarians, I believe, are gone. All Geth are, of course, gone.
Oh, Geth are- yeah.
Everyone in any spaceship at any point is all trapped. You know, I guess I just always have the question of so if it takes out all of that stuff, we should be able to fairly. I know the mass relays are going to take a long time to rebuild, but
well, that's the thing. Nobody knows how to build them except for the Reapers.
I mean, we have Prothean data.
Yeah, but the Protheans got close to it. They never finished because in the first game you learn that they got close, and that's why the Reapers are time out.
I thought that they said the Protheans are the things that made the mass relays.
No,
so
the
who
Reapers.
made the mass relay?
The Reapers.
Okay.
Because the Reapers use that to get everybody around so they could harvest them. So it's kind of like they use it as an alarm system.
Got it.
They're as soon as life force is able to get to the mass relay and use them and get to the Citadel, they're oh,
that's when they've achieved a high enough thing that we need to come
Yep.
and purge. Okay. So then,
which is one of my favorite moments in Mass Effect 1 is when you talk to Sovereign about all that and you're hey, Sovereign, why do you do that? And he's don't talk about it. Leave me alone. Here's a little bit. Go away. And he's I'm coming for you. And then he just comes right
Daddy Sovereign got mad at
seriously,
me.
it was such a weird moment. I was I don't remember this the first time I played.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he just swings around. Okay.
So that's this. And I don't think I've ever done Destroy All. I've looked up online
I've done all three
and
of them.
watched the video. I usually, because I'm a pretty big hippie, I think I usually go Synthesis. Because I think that's the best of both worlds. But I just remember after picking Synthesis for the first time, I wanted to see it play out a little bit more, as in I wanted to see Edie come out of the spaceship with real hair.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I wanted to show an immediate, everyone's DNA, every Quarian should instantly be able to take off their mask. If we're all merging all synthetic life and all real life together
Yeah.
as one, I think we should instantly be seeing that kind of stuff.
Well, and you kind of see it with Saren in the first game again. He is that mesh. You see his eyes all messed up. Same with the Elusive Man. You get that weird eye. You get the
Yeah,
weird, implant tentacles.
Yeah, but that's the evil version of it.
Oh, no, that's the synth. That's
but
this is.
But this is
you're
the
going to get
happy
half
ending.
and half.
We're gonna. But
There is no
but it
happy
can
ending.
be an
They're all the same.
attractive synth. I mean.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
we can make the wires look good. It doesn't have to be a digital rash going across your face.
we can make the wires look
Yeah,
good.
come on.
Silly
I've seen what
Billy.
they can do on Etsy. We should be able to make some
Wow.
really nice wires.
Wow.
But I would love to see that and just fleshed out a little bit more. And what happens with control? You just rule, right?
Essentially, Shepard
You just-
puts his persona into the aether of the
And you become a
workings.
god,
You
right?
essentially become what the Star Child is. You
The
take
Star Child,
the
that's
Star
right.
Child. You become the Star Child.
Yeah.
And you control the Reapers, and you just push them back in the deep space. You're like, bye, everybody. Hope you remember me.
Yeah.
It was like all endings were just kind of like this. That one makes sense, but yeah, like you said, they really, really needed
But
to.
what a weird way
expand
of
on
like
all of
having and then the good guy walks off into the sunset.
There
Like,
was no, because in all three, Shepard dies.
Yeah. Well, and when he dies and he's like, I am the Reapus now. I'm going to go just kick it over
Yeah,
there
he's
in
essentially,
deep
he's
space.
become like the Sovereign
Yeah.
or like the Star Child, where he just.
But also, though, if you're like pure renegade and you chose to control all the Reapers, like I feel like I would be like, well, I'm not leaving. I'm going to make sure everyone behaves. I would be Skynet. I would be a universal like
And see, I
Big
wish,
Brother Skynet.
and I wish they would have done something cool like that,
You
but they
know?
didn't.
like, and yeah, we'd help out everyone as much as possible.
Because I think the
but, like,
Renegade ending is blowing everything up.
But, like-
Because that's the red choice,
but
you know,
think
red
about it, though.
Renegade.
Like you'd be like, okay, release the or cure the genophage.
Release the Jennifer.
And so it's like, fine, the Krogans can reproduce again. Awesome.
Ribbit,
proud,
ribbit.
happy. Ribbit. And then, but if they started like that conquest thing, by the way, I also am all of the Reapers and can shut your planet down at any time. you know?
What if all the Reapers turned into a giant Voltron Reaper and then they came?
Oh my God.
we have Reaper
With our
Lions.
powers combined, we are.
But no, they definitely needed to expand on all those endings.
Yeah.
Because even the after credits is like people wandering the woods or something.
It was
Like
like a
his dream.
It
Yeah,
was like a PowerPoint slide, wasn't it? It was just like
Yeah, it was
just these like digital
images
arts
and
of, and I'm like,
visuals, yeah.
okay, like I just remember I just got more and more
and then
disappointed.
Yeah, I don't know. They really should have made the endings feel different. And I was like, well, what if they make a fourth game? Well, then that's when
They are making a fourth game.
great. But you know what? You can still build off of all three. They do
Sure.
it all the time off of games that have multiple endings.
Sure. The other thing that I think we have to talk about is the utter lack of a boss battle.
Oh, geez.
Just-
Yeah. That
Just,
really.
like once you do a decent, kind of not really hard thing with some evil banshees. I think there's 3 or
Yeah.
4 of them. You take them out.
I think they had, wasn't there like a funny name for him? They had going like the shield boss or something. It was just like a random guy with shield. It was,
It was
so
like the Arctic
stupid.
Yakshi that had been corrupted, and
I
there's
don't
like a couple
know.
of them, and you take them out, and then that's the last person you really have
Then
to
you
kill.
walk into the beam.
and then you walk into a beam, and then it's just dialogue, the game.
And what's funny too is if you have the art book, which
Yeah.
my brother did, if you look, it looks like they actually had schematics and stuff for a final boss with the elusive man turning into like a Reaper tech like Saren
yeah,
did in
yeah.
the first game. And it's like, it's just so hard coming down from 2 games where they had such great final bosses.
Yeah.
And then and that's fine if you don't want a final boss, but then you gave us a Star Child who still gave us evasive answers to all of our questions.
And basically just mansplained the entire universe
Yeah.
to us in the point of the game. It's
You're
like,
too stupid.
oh, you don't understand. We have to destroy people because they advance too much. And what's wrong with that? Shut up. You don't get it. I'm a
If
child.
only you were smarter.
If only your dumb brain could comprehend my big
I am
thoughts.
Star Child. Leave alone.
Yeah. Everything about the ending was just
And it's
bad.
like eating the best meal of your life.
right.
And it's great, it's delicious, it's everything. And then like they give you like a Little Debbie's cupcake for dessert.
You got a steak dinner and all this.
And
then
it's even kind of stale. And
they
like,
even open the silver platter lid.
and you're just and it's so maddening because it's like you want to like when you remember everything great, but you can't not think about that Little Debbie, the stale Little Debbie ending,
so bad.
because it just became so prevalent, you know.
Well, it's that stale Debbie aftertaste.
And I think the other moment that I was really missing was feeling like the universe was behind me. Like there was so much political infighting, and you had to save this person because in order to save this person, then this person would do this for you, so that way this person can do this. And a big old spider web. I wanted a massive charge at the very, very end.
Or something
Like
more than just
Shepard,
what you got.
I wanted an Elcor. I wanted a Vorcha. I wanted everything that could hold a gun behind me at some point, shooting the way
or doing
I'm shooting.
something like at least with the Gethalon, like we have our fighter planes. Every once in a while, you seen one zoom by or something. We're like, I want to see the Elcor go into battle.
Yeah.
That'd be great. I want to see a Valerian go into battle. You know,
Yeah, something like that. Blasto, could really
Blasto,
just come on and just really show his work.
I mean, we know Batarians are always shooting guns. So where are they?
That's
at?
true. Batarians and Vorchas have not stopped shooting
Well,
guns.
where are they at?
I think Vorcha are mostly on Omega at this point.
Oh, probably. And Batarians are pretty mad.
Yeah,
at us
that's like
anyways.
maybe.
So maybe they don't show up.
No, didn't Vorcha join I thought there was 1 or 2 races that joined but I could be wrong.
You know, honestly, I never really kept tabs on Vorcha. I was like, ooh, you don't
They're
look.
kind of a behind the scenes
I was
race.
like, ooh, like, I bet you guys have rabies or something. And I
Yeah,
was like,
they were just
"Oh."
like kind of created because we need an ugly,
Cool race,
evil
though. Oh,
enemy, kind of race.
They kind of remind me of Larfleeze from like Green Lantern.
Oh yeah, I
They
think
look
without a doubt,
very much
that's-
like him.
That's an exact one.
Other than that, though, if you had to change other things in 3, besides obviously the ending and like the squad members kind of like copping out,
Yeah.
was there any other major plot points you just didn't like?
You know, I have to admit, I wish I could have piloted the Normandy for a little bit. You know, you never really. I mean, you get the thing,
Right,
where
I mean, you get to- yeah, I
you
mean,
get to
yeah.
go around, but like a little bit of an action sequence
Yeah.
would have been kind of nice. And this is just like a wish list at this point,
Right.
But if we're talking about plot, I think the ending is just really the main crux of the fix.
You know, for me, I kind of wish they did a little bit more with the Arachnite Queen.
Yeah.
And I know, like, it's cool. Like, the Paragon one's fine. You end up getting them as war support. That's fine. But, like, the bad one, they just made a Reaper clone. And I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, I wish there was something a little more. Like, I want somebody to really slap you on the wrist for that one. Like,
Yeah.
really give you a talking to. But it was more just like, oh, here's an extra boss or something.
Well,
like,
it's like they already had designed the level and they
Right.
already had the queen idea in there. And so they had to kind of dance around like, well, if you're good, it's the real one. But if not, we'll slap some
right.
wires coming out.
And
say
I
that
get
we
that.
cloned it
And, like, yeah, it betrays you and all that. That's cool and fine. But, like, just leave it out. Make sure they're dead. Don't even clone it.
Yeah.
Like, just do
leave-
something completely
But
different.
and the sad part is they also tied that heavily with Grunt's loyalty
Yeah.
mission. So it's like,
Which I wish they wouldn't have done either.
if yeah, it was fine.
It was exactly. It's fine, but it's
But
not
like,
like it's.
It should have been like if you kill the Arachnite Queen and Grunt doesn't make it, and you keep Grunt in the tube the entire time, you shouldn't be able like that whole mission should just be done.
And I love the fact that you can keep him in the tube the entire time. It's so great.
And also, I think one of the things I would change about 3 is
You a tube baby forever.
you're gonna be so wrinkly.
I wish every time you saw him, as you progress through missions, you just get more pruny.
Or like every once in a while, you'd see him like open one eye and look at his watch, and then close one eye.
Is it my time yet?
Anytime, Shepard. But no, I think it was a little married and on release, and it's fixed in the Legacy Edition. But it was a little married to the internet too much
Oh, yeah.
because in order to get like the highest score, you had to go on and play some online
forgot about
shenanigans
that.
to get the
Yeah.
right amount of points.
Yep, you had to do a bunch
asset
of
points.
multiplayer stuff. Yeah, I'm
And-
glad they took that out
and
in the
then-
Legendary.
Because even remember, there was the secret ending where
Yep.
Shepard goes, and that was it. And it's like, wow.
Which doesn't make sense because, I don't know.
You fell from space.
Yeah.
Like you clearly we've talked about how that kills you already. Like, unless you're straight up God mode,
Right.
your armor's been blown off. At least give the man a concussion. Just if anything, make the man concussed.
At least forgetful.
Yeah.
Or Dick Van Dyke clumsy.
Or he just has hits his head, doesn't remember anything over the last thing. Like last thing I remember, I was on Eden Prime and we had just run into Ashley.
Oh my God, that'd be a great 4th game. He bangs his head, thinks he's Blasto.
Yeah.
Just-
What else?
Oh man. So I think we pretty much covered most of 3. As
Yeah.
far as 1, I want to go back to that because I feel like, yeah, replaying it again and having a fresher perspective on it. Like, I remember I for some reason I thought it would be longer.
Oh yeah.
And then when I get through it, I'm like, it's only like 7 missions.
Sure.
Or something like that. Yeah, there's a lot of side quests, but
Sure.
really, they kind of gave me that the Final Fantasy 15
Okay.
kind of vibe where it's just like, here's a couple hallways and you
Oh,
open
the
a
ending
door.
of 15. Yeah.
You mean the unfinished part of 15?
Oh, it was finished. It was just very, very bad.
But that's how every side mission felt on the first one. Like you go to it was fine the first couple times, but they kept repeating it.
Yeah.
You go to a space station or you go to like a bunker out on this planet.
Mhm.
And for crying out loud, I don't want to be on the Mako that long.
Oh.
The controls still aren't that great in Legendary. Yeah, they're fine, but like,
But you
oh
gotta
my
remember that
goodness,
game,
it's annoying.
That game came out for the original Xbox, right?
Oh, I know.
It wasn't even a PlayStation
Right.
release. It wasn't until 2.
But they just lean so heavily on driving that janky Mako,
Yeah.
and you're like, please no, just
Yeah.
stop. I don't want to. And it's the same map layout, like it's just a big rectangle.
Yep.
And like, go to every quarter.
And how it's like, I think I should be able to climb this hill,
Right.
And you can't
No.
climb it, and they're like, I shouldn't be able to climb this hill, and then you're like at a pure like straight up and down going up a hill.
It's so strange
The
because
physics were all over
the physics
place.
felt like Skyrim on a horse.
Yeah.
Which I don't. Have you played Skyrim at all?
No.
So when you're playing Skyrim, you can kind of jump up mountains, kind of.
Yeah.
But when you're on a horse, it defies all physics, and you just like walk straight up the
Super
wall.
horse.
The Mako
Spider
felt like
horse.
it felt like a mix of those two.
Okay.
Like you're like, sometimes I can go straight up, sometimes nope.
I also like I was really, really happy that and I believe they ditched a lot of like you have to get the when you're trying to get all of the elements. Because there's always a part where like I think first time playing through you think it's fun because it's a new like different side mission. But when you're replaying, you're like, okay, this is the 2 hours that I have to spend going from planet to planet to try and get enough ore so that way I can upgrade my blasters. It feels like a grinding halt.
It's really just for completionists. And once you do it the first time and get that trophy, you're like, okay, never again.
In 2, you have to do it.
Oh, 2, yeah. 2 is way different
you
rodeo.
Literally have to, or else you have issues with upgrading all of your stuff.
Right. 2 made it a point to actually do stuff.
Yeah.
And they didn't make everything so mundane.
Yeah. Yeah, and I guess as long as you tie it in, because if you don't, then like you lose 2 characters here and you lose 2 characters there.
Yeah. Your war power goes down in 3 and like everybody gets
the war
sad.
assets.
The war assets. That's what it was.
Yeah. And I guess I just wish the one other kind of issue I had that I wish they would have changed is making it a little bit more clear of. So say you have an option, I'm talking to, Anderson, and I can either be good or bad or medium. And the good is saying, yeah, that's great. The bad is going, you can go all the way to hell. And medium's going like, well, let's think. So you click like, that's great. And then what he says isn't really exactly what you clicked. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, no, I know exactly what you're talking about.
And you think he's like, well, I don't know. It's like, well, no, I didn't click. I don't know. I clicked. Okay, and just every once in a while.
No, yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah,
didn't line up the way they should have.
Because like in 1, yeah, you'd be clicking on stuff and they'd be like, oh, well, you can say like, let's go get pasta, and he'd be like, hey, I really love toasted ravioli, and you're like, wait a minute, that's not Italian. What?
Okay, so then let's. What is your favorite moment? And I know we've talked about like let's wrap this all up with the defining favorite moment of the Mass Effect legacy.
Everything.
Start to finish. You can't say everything. It's cheap. You can't do that.
Well,
declined.
I will say one of my favorite moments in the game, being a big horror fan and all, is exactly when they started abducting people off the ship and you get put as Joker and you have to walk around. Yeah, it's boring and you're just hobbling around, but man, is that terrifying.
The atmosphere that quick little scene
created. I wish they would do more of that in the series too.
It was phenomenal. It really, really was.
Oh yeah, just such a switch.
And like just to go just straight to and that was fantastic. I also have to say like the magnitude of and scope of some of the scenes. So you're in one of the collector bases.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Like, you go out of a tunnel and then you just look up and it is like miles of like honeycombed people that they have abducted over the years. And you just like have to take a step back and realize, like I am in way too
Same
deep.
when you're in the suicide mission, just the vastness of that like area and like I got to make split choices now.
Yeah.
Like,
also, I love the in 3, and I know I've talked a lot about the DLC, especially the after the game was released, the kind of like the we're sorry DLC. But if you go through, there are some amazing, like there's an arcade that they added that you can go through. You actually have to complete it to get the 100% Jax
I didn't know this.
Final stuff. That's always great. But I really want to praise the writing of the party scene. Have you?
Oh, the party scene.
The party scene at the end of 3. Like whenever I talk about Mass Effect, I have to say that's my number one favorite because it's if you have everyone, it's the moment that you've been waiting for. The collection of everyone together, finally having conversations, non-combat based, and and everyone just gets drunk. Like everyone, so it's like, Jack and I think Jacob are doing a pull-up contest.
I think Tally just throws the drink on her field.
Tally throws up. She wakes up.
Shield,
I think she wakes up in the shower, or Grunt wakes up in the shower.
Yeah.
Like I just remember like when I finally played through it, it was my first time with the DLC, and I was like, I knew that the ending was going to happen, and I got that. I was like, oh, this really made it feel like it was worth it. Like everyone got a goodbye. Everyone got a moment with Shepard alone where they could flesh out why and
why he's the bestest of buds.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. Oh, I love this game so freaking much.
And, honestly, I kind of wish for the time they made it, the first one, like back to that one, like I wish they would have done more with like what you said, the perspective shots and like,
the
just
scope.
play around with the sci-fi thing. Because it really felt like they did that with 2. Like you got like all sorts of, they did a little bit with the Arachnite Queen with like the aliens kind of vibe, but like you needed more.
2 had a hopeful kind of sci-fi. 3 was very doom and gloom.
Oh yeah.
Like the second you start 3, we're like, oh, we're losing the war.
It was like Independence Day with no winning at the end.
It's just the last half of Independence Day.
Just the last half of Independence Day. Welcome to Earth.
So, okay, let's jump to this. Matt, they're making a 4. It's been announced.
Oh, really? Finally.
So, and it's not Andromeda. I don't believe it has anything to do with Andromeda.
Let me look that up. Oh, weird. Written by George R. R. Martin.
Oh God, so it's never coming out. But what do you want Commander Shepard to be the main character?
I think we can move on.
You think so?
I think we can find somebody else. Kind of like what Andromeda did, but don't really. We're not gonna dabble too much in Andromeda, but because it's it's its own
Andromeda
thing. It's okay. It's not.
It felt like a game that was an okay game,
right? That
they retooled and just slapped a whole bunch of Mass Effect labels and stickers on.
I was trying to think of a nice way to say it, but I guess that's kind of it. They kind of like, it was more like, can I copy your homework?
Yeah. But I really felt
but change the name. So
yeah. Like, the only, and I know we're jumping mediums here, but like, so when I watched the Joker movie with Joaquin Phoenix,
yes,
that to me felt like somebody had written a movie about somebody having a psychological break and then like the movie studio was like, it's good, but how do we make this like really prevalent? And someone's like, what if we just said that was the Joker? And someone's like, well, I don't think that makes sense timeline wise. They're like, no, it's fine. Put paint on his face, say he's the Joker, and then now it's a comic book movie about, and now it sells so much more. Yeah. And I feel like the Mass Effect Andromeda game was a game that they're like, it's good, but we don't have that like slap a real way to sell it. And so they're like, oh, just slap Mass Effect on there. Yeah. And then that'll put it up into the sky.
Ooh, actually, it'd be a really good 4th edition.
I don't.
Do you remember the Adoring Fan?
Oh,
you meet him in 1, he comes back.
Vernon something. Yeah.
That'd be great. What if he just took over the mantle?
Have you actually read? Great. Like, he ends up being like a super genius and helps you with missions.
Yeah,
in 3?
That's what I'm saying. Like, I just wish he would do that. That'd be such a great little
Vernon
twist.
Conrad, right? Something like that.
And then you could even do like that graphic novel thing they do in some of them where like, oh, were you kind or mean to him in the beginning?
Oh,
and like even play off that and be like,
okay, so even if it's a brand new character, which I'm 100% down for, I still think if you have the legacy and like, I just want something that acknowledges previous decisions.
Oh yeah, you know what I mean, it definitely needs to be in the future, not in the past. We don't need a prequel. But like, and honestly, there's so many ways you can go. Like, you could even be like a Cerberus agent. Do you rebuild Cerberus? I
don't think anyone's going to let Cerberus be rebuilt.
Well, no, it's like, not but I'm just saying, like, you could, there's so many different routes you can go. You'd be like part of the rebuilding crew of the world, or like, maybe even start a Church of Reaper.
Church of Reaper?
You could do tons of things.
Church of Geth.
Church of Geth.
I would join the Church of Geth.
I was just saying they left so much to play with.
I'm excited for it though. Whatever it is.
Oh, it's probably going to be.
It's going to be great.
We'll see.
Andromeda
was. Yeah,
I was going to say it's like
it's all right.
You want to say it's going to be fantastic, but you hope that it's just okay.
Yeah, it's kind of like the appetizer.
Because let's be honest, nothing's going to beat 2.
No, never.
All right, Matt. I think that's everything. Did you have a good day today?
I think I did. Did you?
I did. I do believe we have one more spokesperson who would like to come in.
Oh yeah.
And give us our official head out.
Yes, I'm Commander Shepard, and this is my favorite podcast on the Citadel.
All right. Thank you guys so much, and we will see you next week.
Bye.